I want to show you this one because Ketanji Brown Jackson, KBJ, she started to question the Trump lawyer who is giving RFK a run for his money in terms of his vocal prowess. So just manage through that if you would. You have to listen very, very carefully. Anyway, this is the Trump lawyer, and she's just trying to go back at him over and over and keeps interrupting him. And he kind of says the really obvious thing, which is that, you know what, like, this is just kind of the way it works. I want you to hear this short clip. Let's play Ketanji Brown Jackson trying to grill the Trump lawyer, John
Benjamin
Sauer.
Franklin said is, we view the prosecution of a chief executive as something that everybody cried out against as unconstitutional. And what George Washington said is, we're worried about factional strife, which will...
No, I'm also, let me put this worry on the table. If the potential for criminal liability is taken off the table, wouldn't there be a significant risk that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes with abandon while they're in office? It's right now the fact that we're having this debate because OLC has said that presidents might be prosecuted. Presidents from the beginning of time have understood that that's a possibility. That might be what has kept this office from turning into the kind of crime center that I'm envisioning. But once we say, no criminal liability, Mr. President, you can do whatever you want, I'm worried that we would have a worse problem than the problem of the president feeling constrained to follow the law while he's in office.
I respectfully disagree with that because the regime you've described is the regime we've operated under for 234 years. There has not been an expectation based on 234 years of unbroken political...
All right, let me ask you another question.
Okay, she didn't like the answer to that. She had to go back again and interrupt him over and over and over again. Look, you know what? If you don't have immunity as the president of the United States, and we're not saying you can do really wacky, crazy things. I think over on MSNBC, they're like, oh, great, now he can just, murder his wife and get away with it. No, that's not what we're talking about here, okay? We're talking about having a certain kind of immunity for political reasons. Because the last thing that you want, ladies and gentlemen, is for the other side, for purely political motives to come in, as this one has done, and be able to attack you, as we see happen in other parts of the world. I mean, just go down to Argentina or Venezuela or Brazil. The current president of Brazil, Lula, he was in the slammer. He got out. His vice president was also in federal prison. I mean, this is their MO, right? That's how they operate. Because as soon as the other side comes in, they go, okay, we're going to take you to task. And so there should be some kind of protection, expectation that just because you have a shift in power doesn't mean that they're going to put you in jail. And Donald Trump is making the point that if you don't have this kind of immunity, then you're really, truly a sitting duck. You're at risk. Here he is outside his other trial going on today there in New York. Let's listen to him make the point.
The Supreme Court has a very important argument before it today. I would have loved to have been there, but this judge would not allow that to happen. I should be there, but he wouldn't allow it to happen. I think he puts himself above the Supreme Court, which is unfortunate, isn't it? But the argument on immunity is very important. The president has to have immunity. This has nothing to do with me. This has to do with a president in the future for 100 years from now. If you don't have immunity, you're not going to do anything. You're going to become a ceremonial president. You're just going to be doing nothing. You're not going to take any of the risks, both good and bad. I mean, you're going to make some great decisions and save the country. You're going to make some decisions which are unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But you're not going to do anything if you don't have immunity, because otherwise you're going to be prosecuted after you leave office for doing something like going into an area, going into a country, doing lots of things that you wouldn't be doing. And we don't want a ceremonial president. We have to have a real president. And assuming you have the right person, that can make a big difference. You saw that for 4 years when I was president. We were respected all over the world. We had...
He's making some really important points there. I want to go to some comments from Mike Davis, who used to be a Supreme Court clerk. He's part of the Federalist Society, and he made these on Twitter, and they are pretty pretty important to hear right now. He made the point that Biden is attempting to establish a dangerous precedent that presidents can face prosecution for their official acts. If presidential immunity doesn't exist, then a Trump 47 Justice Department could prosecute Barack Obama for capital murder for ordering a drone strike on 2 American citizens, one of whom was a minor. That was what I was just telling you about. Joe Biden, he writes, could also face prosecution for his illegal mass parole of millions of illegal immigrants and their resulting crimes. George Bush and Dick Cheney could face prosecution if they lied to drive us into the Iraq War. This is not a path that we want to go down as a country. This unfounded assault on Joe Biden's chief political opponent is a grave threat to our system of government. Well said, Mike Davis. In other words, what are you doing? Why are you opening a kind of Pandora's box like this for purely political purposes? I've told you guys this before, but I'll share the story of Donald Trump telling me, when I asked him, I'm like, hey, so why didn't you go after Hillary Clinton? You know, the whole bleach bit with the server, et cetera. Why didn't you pursue that? And he said to me, you know, Trish, like it's the United States of America. Like it really doesn't look good if we're like throwing everybody. I mean, he's actually a pretty magnanimous person. And I think when he gets pushed into the corner, he's like, okay, the gloves are off. And I have a feeling like if he's back there, the gloves might just be off. Everybody's going to want immunity. They're going to say, thank you, sir, for having put this thing in. I mean, because really and truly, you could go after a lot of politicians for all kinds of things, right? Because things happen. Things happen. Mistakes happen. In terms of J6, you want to go after him for that. I mean, wow. I mean, can we go after Nancy Pelosi, who failed to call in the appropriate reinforcements? Maybe we should. In terms of Fani Willis and trying to go after him down in Georgia, because he dared to say, hey, you know, can I challenge this? Apparently you can't challenge anything. No, if you challenge something, then you're in violation of the law. If you come up with an alternate slate of people to verify the election because, you know, you want to have an alternate just in case, oh, that's in violation of the law, even though they did that in Hawaii with Kennedy way back when. Listen, guys, I mean, this is just out of control. I think it's very obvious that it's out of control, but frightening that it's this out of control. I do think ultimately it comes down to a historic win for President Trump and a historic win for the country. And I don't think that you're going to have crazy people doing crazy things. I think it's merely going to serve as a means to help protect future presidents from this political vitriol, which is clearly really, really abundant. Just so abundant